お前はもう死んでいる。何？
ぶっ殺してやら！
お前はもう死んでいる。
Hello, if you're seeing this in 2026, this video's topic is about the initial backlash of the series trailer. It's not a review of the actual anime. This is being made in 2025 for archival reasons. I'm just making that clear for the near future. The footage you've been looking at thus far is not the reboot people are mad about. This is the other reboot that was made in 2006 to 2008 called Fist of the North Star: Legend of the True Savior. It's a cinematic adaptation of the manga, as it consists of 5 features. 3 of these movies were theatrical releases, while the other 2 were direct-to-DVD OVAs. This also predated the Berserk Golden Age trilogy, but most people don't even know about this version of Fist of the North Star. And that's because The True Savior barely got licensed in North America in 2023, with a new Blu-ray release and an English dub.
Inheritor of Hokuto Shinken. It'll be the perfect sacrifice for my holy pyramid. God may have turned his face from us, but the devil smiles. Technique into Kenshiro's body. Komuro, Toki awaits you in the underworld.
This time I'll use them to claw out every last inch of your guts. I'm not guts, I'm Kenshiro.
These 5 features were released by Discotek Media in 4 sets. Yep, all 5 of them. That's because that one contains 2 OVAs. Despite being a positive rendition of the series, it sadly has a very odd story structure, as it features characters that are not in the manga, created storylines that are not from the manga, shorten or remove things that were from the manga, and they also started the story at the middle of the manga. Despite being a visual upgrade of the 1984 Fist of the North Star, Legend of the True Savior is far from a perfect reboot or a good starting point, but it still remains as the best visual representation of the series, and that's because the 2026 reboot is a CGI anime. And so it begins. The hardcore fans, myself included, were aware of this anime since September 12, 2023. On the series' 40th anniversary. Since then, it was a year of silence. No updates were given in 2024, but sometimes this happens with certain anime adaptations. Then, in 2025, we were promised big news, including a countdown, only for it to be a key visual. And then telling us there will be more news later at the Anime Expo, including a teaser and a voice cast reveal. And that's all we got. And then on July 5th, we saw the teaser and the feedback was...
Loatatata?
What are you trying to do? Tickle me to death?
I really thought we were about to have like a new era, bro. Like, we're about to have like a new era for this series. Like,
Voilà, on passe de ça, qui a l'air vachement buff, cool, incroyable, à ça, quoi. Oh, l'animation de merde, on est sur PlayStation 3 ou quoi? C'est...
a lot of people were about to jump on board. A lot of people were going to realize the greatness. And then they just had to do this.
Really?
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme, every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one. Hopefully it'll work.
Everyone is experiencing the same emotions of disappointment and coping because we believe this manga deserved better. It's not just its pedigree of being one of the early foundations of Battle Shonen or being the de facto manly manga. The problem with Fist of the North Star is it doesn't really have a good present standing. It's almost in the same spot as He-Man because its contemporaries are more recognizable than it, and whatever new content we get doesn't really represent the series. For the longest time, I had this fear that Kenshiro would fall in the same category as Space Ghost Coast to Coast or Harvey Birdman Attorney at Law, because all of we've been getting are parodies. The entire 2010s is filled with spin-offs, minus the Lost Paradise game. There is no modern Fist of the North Star that really encapsulates what the core series is about. The upcoming 2026 anime has good intentions, and they specifically address dissatisfaction with Toei Animation's adaptation. Reasons include detracting from the main storyline via filler and adding more comedic scenes. There was also a lot of censorship with its usage of white or black blood. Eventually we would get the red blood, but there are still many scenes that were never animated, more so without having the story's flow being affected. Most of these filler scenes have become iconic, but once again, it doesn't convey what the series is really about. It just comes off as an episodic bad guy of the week with occasional jokes. The subject matter is filled with tragedy, suffering, romance, manly friendship, manly tears. The series is often compared to a modern Greek tragedy, especially how characters' paths keep intersecting each other. There's a lot of recurring themes of man versus destiny or man versus society, while exploring masculinity through positive and toxic means. Accompanying these things are its detailed visuals with a mix of wuxia, motocrossing, Mad Max, Bruce Lee, Frank Frazetta, Star Wars, and a couple of other things. Fist of the North Star is very influential to many manga such as Berserk, Vinland Saga, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Riki-Oh, Toriko, Kongo Bancho, and it's a favorite of many mangaka including Rumiko Takahashi, Gosho Aoyama, Yoshihiro Togashi, Tsukasa Hojo, and multiple others as seen with this 40th anniversary exhibition. We even got a shikishi from Akira Toriyama before he passed away. Oh. Surprisingly, the 2026 anime promises an adaptation that will follow the manga closely, meaning it'll be very fast as it goes through story arcs. Anime teasers tend to only show the first 3 episodes, and the footage clearly shows the entirety of the Shin arc, including the final fight. But the most notable element thus far is the gore. In 1986, Fist of the North Star made a movie adaptation of episodes 1 through 50, and this version was notable for its excessive violence. It was so gory that it had to be censored with a filter, and the uncut version is currently lost media, unless the Italians got a new version of it in 2024. Fist of the North Star is extremely popular in Italy and France, by the way. What I'm getting at here is, I don't want the praise to be solely on the gore, when Fist of the North Star is a lot more than just poking people and making them explode into chunks. What should have been a famous work of art has now become an infamous, tolerable adaptation as we fish for any redeemable factors. And that's exactly what we're already doing. The teaser has provided us with snippets of what appears to be actual 2D animation, such as Shin walking in the nude, Kenshiro tearing his shirt off, and Z dying. Look at his intestines fly. Is that his heart? But the rest of the teaser is a mixed bag. I think the imagery speaks for itself. Some of it looks really good, while other clips look stiff. I think having a POV from the inside of the car and have the windshield break is a good shot. See? We're doing it already! We're looking for anything good. The music and new voice sound promising at the very least. Again, reiterating. But these are all premature complaints and observations. The anime might be better than we currently think, but that's also a problem. Because if it was completely 2D, I wouldn't be making this video with a negative tone. No one would be upset or angry, but here we are. Instead, we now have to play Spot the 2D, salvage the good stuff, or settle for consolation prizes of, hey, it's not that bad. It's also upsetting as every other reboot or revival has been in 2D. Whether the series is recognizable or not, everyone is doing a better first impression than Fist of the North Star. Hell Teaser Nube just came out in 2D. The Rose of Versailles movie arrived. It has some CGI in it, but it's mainly 2D. It's also a musical, which I didn't expect. Kinnikuman Perfect Origin Arc is eventually coming back, and it's the manliest anime that no one saw. Baki is also doing well. It's coming back probably in 2026 for the 35th anniversary. Lupin the Third went strong. Dragon Ball Daima was given the care it deserved. Rurouni Kenshin, despite its controversies, is a decent reboot. Although it does have some slow filler at the end of season 2. I don't know why it's there. Berserk is only a manga right now. Cobra! That's right! Space Adventure Cobra, aka Cobra the Space Pirate, is coming back! It even has a game! City Hunter got 2 new movies. It might even get a 3rd one. Meanwhile, Fist of the North Star is The excitement is dead for the majority. Since I originally recorded this segment, I ended up having more thoughts and calmed down a little. So this current section is a second recording. Over the past few days, there's been more positive reaction videos of people wanting to see Fist of the North Star. They do range from people familiar with the name or others not so much, but they're interested regardless of the art style. And that's good. It's just not my preference and I can't lie on how I feel. I actually just watched Trigun Stampede done by Studio Orange, and I don't think this 2026 North Star will do anything that good. I don't know why Japan wants to gamble with CGI for this particular series. Actually, we still don't know who the studio is. Warner Bros. Japan does not narrow things down at all for a studio name. They produce a lot of anime, each with different animation studios attached to them. But whoever's in charge is apparently extremely confident of these visuals. Or do these people think that Fist of the North Star is so recognizable that it'll succeed no matter what? Well, I'm not so confident for North America and Canada, because we're incredibly behind other countries when it comes to anime and manga. Fist of the North Star is currently only recognizable because of 2 memes and this latest trailer. And there's also the niche fanbase. JoJo got popular around 2015 while everyone else already had the manga on their shelves. We barely got the original Devilman 1972 in 2018 solely because of Devilman Crybaby. Since then, 7 Seas has not released any other Go Nagai manga. In fact, nobody has. But this year we are getting some surprise manga licenses via Cat's Eye, City Hunter, and Baki the Grappler. And it doesn't stop there. Fist of the North Star is successfully completing its English publication for the first time ever. And this is after 2 or 3 failed attempts of releasing it in the West. Kochikame is barely airing in the USA, which for some people is actually their childhood anime. That's how behind we are. I think it's quite the gamble to release a new Fist of the North Star with questionable CGI. Look, I know I joke with Berserk 2016 because the timing was way too coincidental. Objectively, no, it doesn't look that bad, but it doesn't look that good either. I really wish we didn't need to say any of those things. For the best success possible, it should have been in 2D, even if it took a little longer to release. Again, I don't want to be playing salvager, rummaging through rough CGI just so I can get a few seconds of good-looking 2D animation, or anything resembling Osamu Dezaki's Postcard Memories. The moment I saw Bat, it completely sapped away my excitement, more so when I look at the other manly anime and they're all in 2D. That's art. I just don't think this will hold up when compared to anything else that's already in 2D. If the CGI was so revolutionary, then we would all be unanimously amazed. But we're not. We're wishing for refinements and modifications or a different art style altogether. The competition aren't experimenting with 3D as their selling point. I understand the necessity of 3D, but I don't understand the logic of having it take priority. Why not just save the 3D for the buildings, the backgrounds, the vehicles, and let everything else be in 2D? You know, like in 2003. That's exactly what happened in New Fist of the North Star. Yes, animating muscles is difficult and time-consuming, but the end result of 2D will always be more pleasing and stimulating than an emulation of 2D. Well, at least when it comes to this studio. Right now, there's already limitations with what this CGI studio can do. It already hit a wall. The CGI 100 Fist Rush or 100 Crack Fist is already not doing well when compared to the 2D iterations of this attack. The CGI is already lacking the necessary fluidity of, well, fluids. The CGI studio cannot replicate a 3D body exploding, a flowing cape, or even a shirt getting ripped off. It has to switch for 2D to achieve that. Isn't that already a glaring flaw of this 3D format? How often will these switches be occurring? Will there be facial expressions that you can't do? Again, 3 episodes of Trigun Stampede and I'm just blown away with what they can do. When compared to other 3D animation studios, they've done better work than what we've seen from this anime trailer. I've seen good stuff with Trigun Stampede as a 12-episode series, but even shorter material such as Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings left a good impression on me, but not this anime. I have a hard time picturing Fist of the North Star 2026 being artful with what we're shown. There are just so many uncertainties and the information updates continue to remain minuscule. We're given crumbs every time we want to know more. Who's the studio? Who's the director? The character designer? Or who's making the music? How many episodes will there be available? When exactly would it air in 2026? By then, it may even be 3 years since this anime was announced. What I don't want is to receive 24 episodes of mediocre animation and that's all that was made within 2 to 3 years. If that happens, then the CGI wasn't worth the investment, and possibly more could have been done if it was in 2D to begin with. Fist of the North Star is made of really short arcs, so it should be very feasible to make a 2D anime season even if it is like fewer episodes than normal, or if it takes longer to come out, such as like 2 to 3 years apart or something. I don't know how this series managed to do it, but Kingdom seems to have swapped completely into 2D, after originally having 38 episodes of mixed 2D and 3D animation. Can Fist of the North Star do the same? Or was this something that Tetsuo Hara and Buronson always wanted? Their quotes on the Fist of the North Star website remain the same since the anime was first announced, and Buronson mentions an interest in new technology that can replicate Fist of the North Star's art style. Hara doesn't make any comments, however, he's credited as a director for the 2006 CGI short film Fist of the North Star Legend of Heroes. These connections, along with Fist of the Blue Sky Regenesis, currently points that Hara and Buronson want to dismiss 2D animation in favor of 3D animation. I'm not really excited for this anime, but I'd rather just get it over with. No more secrets, just give us all the news already. That's all I have to say in the year 2025. Let's see what happens in 2026. Oh! I didn't explain what this anime is about. The series stars Kenshiro,